I got this motorhome for free off of a local Facebook group. And after a major deep cleaning, I made it into my new home. Take a look.
Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side.
Alright, enough of that. You want to see what it looks like on the inside? First, we have to ring the doorbell. For being free, this thing's got to be pretty trashed, right? And here it is. No, dude. I mean, it was really rough. I'm not gonna lie, it was super rough in here. But look what I've done. I've done so well with this thing. Like, okay, first off, it was missing the refrigerator, but this unit was 20 bucks at a yard sale, and it's cool because it has the freezer and the refrigerator, so I can plug it in, and if I have shore power, I can use it for keeping things cold. But for now, sometimes I pop ice in there and use it as a cooler. Otherwise, it's just here to store food for now. Keeping clean and organized is super important to me here in the motorhome. Because as you can imagine, this thing attracts a lot of looks. And the last thing I need is some Karen, no offense Karen, because I know a lot of rad Karens, but I don't need somebody coming here and breathing down my neck and trying to call the cops on me and saying I'm some suspicious character when in reality, I'm just this dude living here, serving the community, doing my thing. One thing I love, every window has a screen, even the front ones. And even the driver's seat is immaculate. And speaking of seats, these seats do a ton of different things. They're so ahead of their time. Like here in the diner, that one right there flips forward and becomes the front bench seat, or it goes completely flat, and this one can go totally flat. And then they butt up together once you remove the table here, and then they become a twin-size bed. Speaking of beds, there's my bed right there. There's the couch. That could also be a bed, or there's some metal slats that go across here, and then sort of a grating goes across the top, and then you could put either the futon, or I have another mat that's actually in there, which is the bathroom. That's kind of just storage for now. But this thing becomes like either like a queen or a king or like, a jester size bed. I don't know, but it gets huge. I did paint the back wall there white. It was just kind of really dingy looking, and added some hooks there for some organization. Similarly over here, got my skateboard, of course, my trusty nickel board, got my backpack, and you can see right here I had this little butane stove, and I use it a lot for cooking and for making coffee. You can see my little French press. And if you're wondering why I'm not just using the factory gas range, well, I don't really know the state of that, and I will eventually get around to all of that. In the meantime, I'm just trying to like make this thing clean and make sure it's livable and doable. And if now you're curious, like, well, how's it run? Does it run? Duh. But right here, under this doghouse, is a massive, giant, big block engine, an Oldsmobile Rocket 455, the same engine that powered the Oldsmobile Toronado, and it's mated to a front-wheel drive transaxle, just like the Toronado as well. So it's very reliable and robust, and parts are easy to find. And since right now this seat is folded back, I'm using this as a little just supplemental storage, and I have a couple of folding chairs right there. I have my little boom box and a fan. And let me tell you, this thing is fun to drive. Absolutely fun. I mean, I've got it up to like 55 miles an hour maybe, but like you could easily cruise in this thing at like 80 miles an hour on a smooth freeway if you wanted to, getting like 7 or 8 miles per gallon, maybe 9 if you're lucky. So stuff like this cloth right here, I found that at the local thrift store, Granny's. And I put some on the seat there. That's where I found this cool thing that just totally matches the vibe. This right here reminds me of just where I am. It's so cool. I love it. The plasticware, which not only is super functional because it's not going to shatter in here like that $2 Chuck could, it totally works for the color scheme. And I always, always, always keep fresh flowers in here because I really just like the idea of if people look in here, it's going to look nice. It brings a smile. So to the exterior, first, that big green stripe is probably the first thing you'll notice. That was my handiwork right there. It was this super faded, like yellow orange kind of cracked looking thing because originally it was wood grain vinyl, and that wood grain vinyl had totally just degraded over the years. So I immediately envisioned something that would pop, and the term that most people have given me so far is it's stunning. And my buddy John Pardue in Florida, he sent me this little 20-watt solar panel, and it's kind of good for keeping some batteries topped off, just for like auxiliary stuff. I have a little house battery. That's where the propane is, and down there that is. This thing did have a generator at one point, and it does not now. Eventually I'll put another one down there, but one thing that's really cool about this thing, it has great tires. Super good selling point. And check out this spare tire way up here, right? This is a hinge that allows this to fold down for easy access. And another selling point, a green flag if you will, the previous owner and his wife took this thing from here on Vashon Island, Washington, down to the Oregon Country Fair for like almost 20 years in a row. And if you're not familiar with the Oregon Country Fair, as I wasn't, it's like a super hippie fest for the West Coast, or the Pacific Northwest more specifically. If you're wondering like, okay, so why would he just give it to you then? If it runs well, it has good tires, he has great memories with it. Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, something really tragic happened. His wife developed cancer. And during this time, the motorhome and the hippie festivals, those went on the back burner. Plus, we went through a series of lockdowns anyway, so it was a very uncertain time. And as this beautiful relic sat, it got rained on, and it got neglected, and rust bubbles turned into rust holes. And before you knew it, that rain made its way inside, and in most motorhomes, that would be a death sentence. However, this thing is totally steel construction. There isn't a bunch of like wood or anything going on inside there. So after watching a couple episodes of the Red Green Show for inspiration, I sealed it up with some tape. Not just any tape. There are a couple of holes on the roof, and I used flex tape. It's like $30 a roll, and it's this crazy strong stuff. You've seen those reels and those memes. There's like a spout of water, and they just covered up. And let me tell you this. Since I went across to any protrusion on the roof, we had a crazy, crazy huge storm, and no leaks. Not one leak was found. Is that a fix? No. And I know in the comments you might be like, Travis, that's just going to increase the possibility of that rust to increase and spread. Yeah, you're totally right. But when I get around to it, and I have the ability to, then I will fix it the right way with cutting and welding, and you know what I mean. If you're wondering where I keep it, well, I park it in various spots, just as I have my van on this island for the last 9, 10, 11 months. And although some of the locals are like, whoa, what's going on with this thing? Once they take a look inside and they see how immaculate it is, and they see like I'm well kept and I'm not in here like cooking weird substances, and they go from being on guard to just being like intrigued. And I am extremely grateful. It goes to show, if you just keep smiling and you keep your chin up, great things will come your way. Thank you for watching. Yes, 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 yes.